Hi, I'm Tania from TT23 Studios. I am here with Rob Dalton. We thought we'd do things a bit different for this episode. So episode 3, we are doing a podcast and we want to find out a bit more about you. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
All right, thank you.
Yeah. How did you first get into chainsaw carving?
Well, gosh, that's a really unexpected story.
Yeah.
I was diagnosed in 2018 with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And I was in a job and it all sort of came on top for me and it was really difficult. So I ended up being off work, having counselling, which I would highly recommend. Whilst I was off work, I had a friend who used to come and knock on at my house and kind of say to us, "Come on, we're going for a walk." He was a smashing fella. We had a bit of a conversation one day and he suggested the idea of doing something different and something that involved getting me outdoors. I went back to my counsellor one day and said, "I don't know if this is a good thing or not, but I'm going to learn how to use a chainsaw." And she kind of said, "Oh yeah, what can possibly go wrong? Yeah, madman with a chainsaw. Yeah, that'll be brilliant." And I said no. She was really brilliant, very supportive. Said, "Great, go and do it." So I went and did a course learning how to use a chainsaw, learning how to fell trees, and expected that I would follow the path of becoming a tree surgeon or get into forestry or something like that. About a week or so after the course finished, the guy running the course was doing a bit of carving himself. And he was a lovely fella. He was really interested in everybody on the course and what they did and what they were going to be making use of the training for. He said, "Yeah, come along, come and have a look." And I just said, I'd like to just come and see what you do when you do carving and see whether it's anything I might be interested in. So I turned up and he said, "Here's a couple of saws, here's some timber, have a go, see what you think." And so I carved a mushroom, and then I carved a head, a face, which actually, you know, at the on the other episodes where you see in the workshop, there's a head up on the shelf. That's the head. That's the head that I had a go at. Okay. So it's just grown from there. So when I look at my early carvings, I just think, oh my God, I can't believe anybody wanted to buy those. But I did it, and I started making more stuff, and the guy connected me with an experienced chainsaw artist, Ian Williams, and who lived not far from me, and I spent a few days with him, and he gave me a few pointers and what have you, and other bits of equipment that I could use and methods of doing stuff. I've just been gradually developing my skill and my style over the last few years. And you know, when my sister first saw my stuff, she said to me, "Where the blooming hell's this come from? You never had an artistic bone in your body."
What were you doing before carving then?
So at the time I became poorly, I was a police officer with Cheshire Police, and that I obviously couldn't go back to doing that. I was too poorly for doing that. And around that time, all sorts of things, other things were happening in my life that it just, I think the universe was telling me it's time to do something different. And I would never have imagined that this is what I would end up doing.
What made you actually pick up a chainsaw then and carve for the first time?
Well, it it was literally that. I got chatting to the guy Phil that ran the course, and he was such an interesting fella, and he was dead interested in other people, and he always had a smile on his face. He was like a big lumberjack, what you would expect of a big lumberjack, and he was always happy. And I remember asking him about that. Why do you do what you do? And he said, I just love being out amongst the trees and doing the thing that I do. And he said he had to pinch himself often to thinking that, I actually get paid to do this, and it's brilliant. And I thought, well, yeah, that's I could have nice, a bit of that.
Though, isn't it? Yeah, it's a nice feeling.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I thought, I wonder if there's something in that for me. And bear in mind, at this time I'm still regularly having counselling, and things do start to improve, but it takes a while. And PTSD is kind of it's a thing that comes back and gets you every now and then. You can be a bit up and down, but on the whole, I think I've been really lucky that I had a really fabulous counsellor who really seemed to understand and really helped to guide me in dealing with my trauma. And one of the other things that I really got to understand was that, and why I'm happy talking about it, is that PTSD is not who I am. It's not who Rob Dalton is. It's the result of things that have happened to me. If you can treat them as two separate things, that can be really helpful. And what I've learned to do as well is to start to recognize signs. So it takes time, it takes years, but the way my counsellor explained it to me was that, think of it as like you're stood at a bus stop and your thoughts are the buses coming along. And if you can choose to get on that bus or not, and often you do. Yeah. And you go around the whole route or off down the rabbit hole, or however you want to describe it, and it can be very upsetting. But you can get off at the next stop or the stop after and not allow it to go all the way around the route. And that's how I've started to look at it, and I find it really helpful. Yeah. And I have a fantastic partner who starts to see the signs in me, and all this combination of things of surrounding myself with really good, positive people. Yeah, so important. Yeah. Definitely. It makes a massive difference. I know it's a cliche, but surround yourself with positive people makes a heck of a difference. And I just, life is so much better. Like, it's once you start finding something that you enjoy, that's lovely. And then people have dropped out of my life now over the last few years, and initially I got upset about it, and now I just see it as a positive, and new people have come into my life, and things are so much better. And the therapeutic benefits of chainsaw carving is, the whole world disappears and I just lose myself into... That was one of my questions actually later on. Actually. Yeah, I beat you to it. Yeah, you beat me to it there. Yeah. That is such a big thing. Yeah. So it's never hard getting up and going into work in the morning. But that's a lovely feeling to have, that, to wake up in the morning and just be able to get up and go out and do something that you really love and are passionate about, isn't it? So yes. Loads of people, when I do events and stuff, quite a few fellas in particular, they're like, oh my goodness, you get to play with power tools and chainsaws every day of your life, and wood, and be outdoors, and it's like that inner child of you is coming out again in your adulthood, absolutely. Isn't it? It's great. Yeah. I just get to make loads of noise and loads of mess every day. It's brilliant. So do you have any mentors or people that have inspired you? I know you've mentioned somebody previously, but have you got anyone else that really inspired that passion within you to go out and carve and do what you do? I think I've just found within myself, I've started to really enjoy learning and discovering the art. So there's sort of different aspects to what I do now. So there's the artistic side, and then there's the business side, which has actually been absolutely terrifying.
It's scary though when you go into business, like even as TT23 Studios, you know, it's new.
Yeah,
and,
it is.
You know, it's you learn as you go along, don't you?
Doing business networking, meeting some really good people, but also, as you know, we've had conversations before where, you know, I follow people like Steve Bartlett, Diary CEO, Alex Hormozy, Cody Sanchez. These really successful entrepreneurs. There is a core of them around the world now, who, you know, I grew up in the late 70s and 80s. I was in my teens, and it was kind of an era where everybody trampled over everyone to get to the top. There's a real big culture change in business now, in respect of these people are writing books and they're doing podcasts and they're sharing their knowledge with people, and they're saying, there's enough for everyone, and let's share that, and let's help people. And I love that. I love that mindset, and then it starts to rub off on other people, and I in turn then want to do the same, and I love it. So that's really, really helpful, and starting to find some proper direction in how your business it runs. I think is.
Because it all starts with you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So then it's like that effect, you know, it helps everybody then. So that's lovely to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. And from an artistic point of view, there are some. I kind of learned that there are other chainsaw artists out there who I follow, who on social media, and you know, people like Simon O'Rourke, who's got such a fantastic reputation and has done some amazing projects. And I've been to meet him at his workshop a few times over the last couple of years. Yeah. Chris Wood, who travels all over the world doing stuff, and there's a whole number of them, but they're two in particular that spring to mind. And I look at the quality of their work and just think, wow, you know, that they're creating some incredible stuff.
Do you ever find yourself comparing yourself to them, or like, and then
that
thinking, drive you?
How the hell am I ever going to reach those dizzying heights of skill? But what I also do is I look at other artists who are creating other types of art as well. I look for inspiration in that, but I want to be me and do my own thing. I don't want to be the same as somebody else. There's an expectation within chainsaw art that everybody goes to the Cheshire Show, where they have the big competitions with lots of chainsaw artists. And I tend not to go to those. It's one of the things that I recognise with PTSD, that for me, that feels like too much pressure.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And doesn't allow me to be creative. You know, you can go to shops and you can buy a sculpture that's been mass produced in other parts of the world, and you buy it, and 10,000 other people have got it as well.
Being unique, isn't it? Yeah, it's so important.
Every piece of art that I make, I put myself into it. I lose myself into the creativity of it. I find it. I really enjoy when I'm making commission pieces, meeting the people I'm making for it, making it for, getting to know them a little bit, get a little bit of an understanding of what they're interested in, what they like, and then creating that, but in my style. That whole process is, I really enjoy it. I enjoy the human interaction.
Yeah, it's become like therapeutic for you, though, hasn't it? Yeah, it's your therapy, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, most certainly. Yeah, it's therapeutic in that the process of creating the piece of art I lose myself into, but also then the interaction with people who have an idea that I can then bring to life for them, and it brings joy into their lives, and they have this piece of art that's now sat in their garden that generates conversation, that's the only one that exists in the world.
How does that make you feel then? Like when you see that, then, you know?
Oh, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
It's to think now that I've got pieces of my art dotted all over the world, certainly all over the country. And I know there's a great big bear over in Switzerland.
That's
now.
fantastic. Wow.
It's like,
So it's worldwide then as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is now. Yeah. Who would have thought? It just brings me great pleasure to think that I've created something for somebody that gives them pleasure, and that they can also share with other people the benefits of that
That's so nice.
piece of art. Yeah. Love it.
So have you always been artistic and creative? So growing up and everything?
Absolutely not.
No, that's interesting.
So I think I mentioned before, when I first started doing this, my sister said to me, "Where the bloody hell's this come from? You never had an artistic bone in your body." And and my honest answer is,
like, with your careers and everything as well.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I have to pinch myself.
Yeah.
But what's really bizarre is that I can do this. What I've managed to do is I can look at a piece of wood, I can take a chainsaw and create something 3-dimensional out of it. And occasionally customers ask me, can you do me a sketch of what you're planning to make? And well, the answer to that is no, not really. You're going to have to trust my creative process, because I can't draw a stick man. So so it's a bit of a strange thing, that, really.
But you can get around that, can't you, really? You don't have to sketch. And if somebody really wants a piece of your artwork, they're going to invest in that, aren't they? So they're going to just go for it.
I think so. I kind of hope so. It's not put anybody off yet. And the other thing about doing a sketch or a drawing of what I'm going to make is my work is very organic.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's how I take the sculpture changes as I'm creating it, because I come across things within the wood that take me in a different direction.
Yeah.
Or even as it's starting to take shape, I get another idea to do something a little bit different. And what that means is that somebody's going to get something that they don't expect. So they'll get something within the general boundaries of what they've asked for.
So I guess your inspiration for the carvings and that comes from what the client wants then as well. So
yes, I'm constantly looking for ways to refine what I do, and I look at other people's styles, and I want to be a bit different. And so I constantly work. Every time I make something, I just think about some slightly subtle ways of doing things, changing things. There are some chainsaw artists who use just chainsaws to do every aspect of their carvings. Most chainsaw artists use die grinders and Dremels and finger sanders and various other bits and bobs to create a bit more detail. I do that, and to the extent that I do it, has most definitely changed over the last few years, and little techniques just to create more interesting patterns, or a little bit more detail, or sometimes a little less detail, has most certainly changed. I keep refining it and chopping and changing what I do and how I do it all the time. That's kind of part of the fun of being creative and doing things differently. Yeah.
So what kind of chainsaws do you use?
Oh my goodness. um, so with the whole process, I start off with I've got this great big Husqvarna chainsaw, which I use for doing most of the blocking out work, so getting the basic shape, and then the other makes that I use are Echo and Still. So I use the three. I mean, everybody's heard of Husqvarna and Still in particular, but Echo makes some really great saws. There's one very small saw that I use for doing the real fine detail work, and it's smashing. It's super lightweight. It's got a good power to weight ratio and great for doing a lot of the detail work. And they're all pretty decent, reliable saws, because that's one of the other things is I need to have reliability. I don't want saws breaking down all the time, and because that stops work.
Yeah.
So
do you have a favourite?
Well, the one that I use most of the time is a Still. It's called an MS162, and it's a fairly new saw, but they're super robust. And the difference for with chainsaw art work to normal felling tree work is that a tree surgeon felling a tree will start a saw up, he'll run it for a few minutes, making a few cuts, and then turning it off again. I'm filling it up with fuel, and I'm holding it all kinds of funny, weird angles to get shapes, and I've got a different type of bar on it, bar and chain on it to get the detail in and what have you. And generally, it's running until the fuel runs out. So they're running for longer periods of time. They're being held at all kinds of weird and wonderful angles. So they need to cope with slightly different pressures on the machine that you probably wouldn't get in the everyday use of as a tree surgeon. Although tree surgeons are getting banged and battered around all the time and stuff with what they do. So there are different things, but so having a good quality machinery is essential, because when I'm losing myself into the flow of doing the art, creating a piece and then creating a shape or what have you, it needs to I don't want it grinding to a halt, and whilst I'm in that creative flow and having to start doing maintenance and fix parts that are breaking. So reliability is really essential. Yeah.
And besides the chainsaws, do you use any other tools or equipment?
I certainly do. As you know, I think from the last episode, well, both of the first two episodes, I use power tools, battery power tools, die grinders, Dremels for doing detail work. I use a finger sander, which is great for actually carving with, particularly with face shapes and stuff on animals and what have you. Just allows a little. It creates it's not only for creating shape, but you can create different textures with it within the wood. So then the next process of burning or colouring or sanding, then it will take, when you sand something smoother, it will take colour in a different way to something that's rougher. So it's creating all sorts of different textures and effects, visual effects.
So there's a lot that goes into it that people wouldn't even know, would they?
Yeah.
Like, you don't realise.
Yeah. That thing of looking at grain patterns and stuff can affect how something will take. So yeah, there's all sorts of little bits and bobs, I suppose, that I take for granted because I'm doing it every day, but it's not necessarily quite so obvious to.
Do you have any routines with the carving then? So, you know, when you come in, like, what's your setup like? Do you work in a workshop or do you go off on different locations? How do you work?
Both.
Okay.
So I do freestanding carvings within my workshop. And then another aspect is there are lots of trees. I've been really surprised by this, actually. Not that there are lots of trees. I'm not surprised at that. I've been surprised at how many trees are just regularly being felled. So I obviously working in this industry, I get the majority of the timber I use comes from local tree surgeons. So nobody's importing stuff from South America or Canada or wherever for me to carve. It all comes from local tree surgeons. There's a handful of people that I know. But what also happens is that when they're felling trees because they're diseased or they're presenting a risk or for whatever particular reason, sometimes the tree stump is left instead of taking it all the way down to the ground, getting a stump grinder and the whole thing disappears. Leave a stump which can be 3 foot up to 20 foot, however big you want it, and we turn that into a piece of art. So it was a piece of nature that was a feature there for many years, and it doesn't have to completely disappear. And I kind of like the idea of that you know, we're just creating a piece of art from that piece of nature, and it doesn't have to completely disappear. It just changes form, and adds a bit of interest to that part of the garden or the outdoor space. And I've done it takes up a lot of my work, really. So I've done it in public spaces. I've done it in big estates. I've done it in people's back gardens, and that's just a nice way of transforming that tree that's sad, turning a sad story into something positive.
That's beautiful, isn't it?
Mm.
And I bet it's nice as well seeing, you know, it come to life as well. And I know in one of the episodes you speak about like what's inside this wood, and I think that's amazing because it's true, isn't it? You don't know what's coming out of there, do you? Really?
No. Yeah, I like to think of it in those terms. What's hiding inside that piece of timber?
Yeah, that's great.
Let's go and find out. Yeah. I like that. Creates a bit of intrigue.
So if anyone was starting off going into this industry, would you give anyone any advice for like beginners or anything, like who might want to?
Yeah, do it. It's brilliant. It's great fun. Actually, one of the things that I find which I really like about doing events is kind of sowing that seed in people's minds, that particularly with children who are at school in the education system, thinking, I don't want to be a doctor, or I don't want to be an accountant, or I don't want to be whatever. The sort of the more obvious trades or businesses or skills that are on offer. It sows the seed that, you know, if you have some creativity, you can make a living out of being an artist. Yeah, so it's so it's quite a nice it's a nice thing to get to have people thinking about it. It was really interesting doing the chainsaw course. When you go through that course, you start to realize that, well, it's fairly obvious to think that you know, chainsaws are dangerous pieces of equipment, and there are he says with a finger missing. But there are all sorts of aspects to that are not so obvious until you start doing the course around maintenance and how to hold the saw and things you should and shouldn't do. And having done the course, it then amazes me that anybody over the age of 18 can walk into a shop and buy a great big powerful chainsaw that's without any training, and the potential for it going wrong, and you hear about them all the time, and the internet's full of videos of people in blooming flip-flops and shorts chopping up pieces of wood, or climbing ladders and falling out of trees with a chainsaw that's still rolling, and all sorts of stuff like that that's going on. I just think if somebody wants to do what I do for a living, do a basic chainsaw course at the very least. And then there's all sorts of modifications that chainsaw artists make to their chainsaws. There are special carving bars that you can buy, and there are adaptations then that you make to the chains that go with them. And as I mentioned before, you're holding the saws at all sorts of funny angles and stuff. And I never carve without my protective boots and trousers and all the right equipment, ear defenders, all that stuff, and knowing and understanding all that. And it's just, we've got some crazy hot weather at the moment, but I wouldn't not wear my chainsaw trousers.
I bet that's hot, isn't it, when you're wearing that?
Because it's kind of multi-layered. So it's a good weight loss program.
Do they have any air vents in them or anything like?
They some of them do. Some have air vents on the backs of the legs and things like that, which helps a little bit. But it gets warm.
Yeah, it must be hot.
Yeah, but that's. I'd rather be hot and sweaty than and have all my fingers and toes. So so if somebody wanted to take this up, it's you just got to think about those things and find somebody who's already doing it, who's experienced. I mean, that's what happened with me when I first started. I was introduced to an experienced chainsaw artist, Ian Williams, who gave me some. When I look back at it now, he gave me some fantastic bits of advice. He didn't try and force anything, but I'd done the chainsaw course, so I knew my way around a chainsaw, and he didn't force me to carve in any kind of style. I create my own style. I spent 2 or 3 days with him, and he just gave me some really great direction, and it's well worth doing. Take advantage of other people's experience.
How did it feel the first time you actually carved a piece then?
Well, that very first mushroom, that was a bit weird. Yeah.
I bet that was interesting.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I can't really remember now.
Because it must have been quite scary as well. Just, I don't know, touching the wood for the first time and that, did you?
I don't know, because I'd finished it was quite nice to have just done the course that I'd done, learning how to fell trees and do all that safely and what have you. So I kind of had the safety aspect of it actually was still fresh in my mind from doing the course. And then to sort of use a chainsaw a little bit differently was quite interesting, really. It was good. I just really, quite enjoyed it, really. It was good.
So what type of wood do you prefer to use?
Cedar is is top of the list.
Favourite.
Yeah, with very good reason. It's really nice to carve. So it's not so hard. It's not really hard. So you're not kind of having to make your saws work hard. It's a naturally slightly oily timber, so it weathers really well. I still finish all my sculptures with oil anyway, but it's really good timber for longevity. And the other big bonus with it is it smells fantastic.
There is a nice smell about that. Yeah.
Cedar is beautiful. You know, they use it as a scent for deodorants and aftershaves and stuff. So it's like, so it's great. So yeah, my workshop always smells amazing. That's not that I don't just use I use other timbers. I use oak, ash. In episode 2,
yes,
I thought was cedar. It turned out to be larch.
I remember that.
So I use all sorts of different types. So yeah, that's my favourite.
Okay, what's your least favourite then?
Probably the harder ones. I only because process the creative process is slowed down. So I did one. I created a sculpture recently that was made from yew, which is beautiful timber. It just looks fantastic. But crikey, it's hard. So everything takes a long time. But it's really, really nice. And then there are some timbers like willow that we just never use because it just keeps trying to grow. So
you've just answered how do different woods affect your affect the process or your finished product. So that explains it a little bit then about the wood.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So what's been the most challenging piece you've ever worked on?
Most challenging piece. I think in general, bigger pieces are once you get over 6 or 7 foot and you've got to start climbing scaffold to make them. They get challenging because you're up close to something that's really big. So if I've got something freestanding that's 3 or 4 foot in the workshop and I can step back from it, step into it, move around the whole thing, that is that's much easier because you're getting the feel for the proportions of it. Once you start getting really big, climbing down scaffolding, walking away from it, and then coming all the way back up to it, it becomes much more time consuming. It takes it and very tiring.
So different techniques you'd have to use as well, like because obviously, so that must be quite challenging. Yeah, very challenging.
So yes, there might be a large sculpture that I'm doing at Bolesworth in Cheshire, and that's something. So I spoke last week to a scaffolder because this project could be 4 meters high. So we were discussing this. So that'll have to have scaffolding created at different platform levels. So to create the whole thing to flow, but doing it in sections is you've just got to think about it in a slightly different way to allow that level, the first level, to be created so that it flows into the next level. It's interesting. So making platforms that are big enough to be able to step back some way without falling off the edge, or without having to climb all the way down and go and stand back and look at it too often. It still has to be done, but so that's
sounds exciting. That
it could be good fun. That I don't know whether that's going to happen yet, but
fingers crossed. It sounds promising.
It should be really good.
So this is a bit of a negative question, really, but have you ever had any projects go wrong at all?
Actually, it's a question that I'm asked quite often.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people ask, sort of, not that the whole so people kind of often ask me. So sculpture generally is about, if you think of traditional sculpture, it's about building up to create something, and this is the opposite. It's a bit like I suppose stone carving as well is similar. It's about taking away to reveal, to create the shape. And people often ask me, what do you do if you cut something's nose off, or and
you can't just stick it back on, can
no,
you?
no. I suppose timber is wood's quite forgiving, and you can make adjustments, and actually you can, I suppose, glue things back on. But generally speaking, I always start with stuff. I do the basic blocking out, but that is still quite big, and then I gradually take it down to the right size that I want.
Well, episode 2 shows that, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, and sometimes I'll be doing a face on a fox or something, and I look at it and I'm thinking something it doesn't quite look foxy yet, and then I'll just shave a little bit more off the side of his nose or just by his eye, and then there it is. Yeah, that's
Do you ever
it.
have to look at a picture or anything? Because
yeah,
it blows my mind. Like, obviously, we've seen you in the studio, seen in the studio, seen you in the workshop, and do you do it all by memory, or do you?
A bit of both, really. So I use Pinterest.
Okay.
So I go on Pinterest and I create a file. So if there's something particularly that I've not carved before or not carved for a long time, I'll create a file with pictures of whatever that object is from all sorts of different angles. And I just sit and that's my bedtime reading. I sit and look at all these pictures and look at where with animals in particular, I'll look at where the eyes sit in relation to the nose or the beak or how the feathers run or how, and I'll kind of fill my head with that to get most of it in my head. So what then goes down my arm and comes out the end of the chainsaw is there or thereabouts. And then periodically through the process of carving, I'll refer back to pictures just to fine tune bits, especially if I'm feeling like there's something not quite right about it, but I can't work out what it is.
I just think it's fascinating, like, to be able to do that. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, and people often ask how the hell do you do that, and I honestly can't tell you. I don't know. I just can.
It's a natural thing, and that's probably why you do what you do, isn't it? Because it's just natural and it makes you happy.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It turns out. So from the trauma that we talked about right at the beginning, has come something really truly fantastic.
That's lovely.
And it's truly fantastic in so many ways, not just for me personally, but to feel that I can do stuff that brings pleasure into other people's lives. I just think it's a win-win. It's blooming fantastic. I love it. Lovely. Absolutely love it. Yeah. What's
the nicest feedback you've had from a client?
Oh my gosh.
Have a think about that one.
Oh my word. So I get a few emails. So I get a few emails after people have made stuff for people, or there's a lovely lady, Hope, who lives down south, who I've made a few pieces for her, and she's always commenting on my social media, and she sends me lovely emails and text messages and all sorts. I'm pretty sure she's my biggest fan. she's amazing. She's I think she just turned 80, and she has. I think she has to. I think she warns other people that you need to be really careful, because chainsaw art is it's quite addictive. And she sends me lots of lovely messages about how she loves what I've made for her. I was at the National Game Fair a few weeks ago, and a couple came by, and they almost did a kind of a cartoony comedy stop round to a halt, and they saw a sunflower that I've made.
Oh wow!
And it's a bit of a sad story, but with some positivity to it. They lost their daughter a few years ago to leukemia. She was aged 23. At the funeral, they gave out sunflower seeds to everyone there, who were then encouraged to go and plant the seeds, which then grew a sunflower, then take the seeds from that sunflower and plant them on. And so their daughter's memory lives on through the replanting of these seeds. And I thought, what a fantastic concept. And they saw this, which I'd literally made 2 days before I went to that event, and the synchronicity there was fantastic.
Amazing.
And they both kind of stopped in their tracks and said, we just have to have this. It just they liked the sculpture itself, and they loved how the synchronicity of how it fits into their life. And when you've inadvertently made something that touches somebody emotionally like that, is just really special.
That's what it's about, and I think that's what makes you different to other chainsaw artists as well. Like, you can tell you do it for the right reasons. It comes from here, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's I think, well, that's what art is about. Yeah. I heard there's a famous actor, and I can't remember his flipping name now. Ethan Hawkins. Yeah, famous actor Ethan Hawkins, who I came across an interview with him where he talks about the importance. Art is often something that suffers when we have when the economy is going to shot and we have, and nobody's got any money and stuff. But he argues this point of art in all its forms, whether it's poetry, songs, films, wood sculptures, paintings, they evoke emotion, and that we're emotional beings, and it's a really important part of everyday life. So
So how does it make you feel when you carve?
I feel like I'm in my own world, and it literally does. And I know that's like it sounds like a bit of a cliche, but I have ear defenders with Bluetooth on them.
Okay.
And I listen to music, or I listen to audiobooks or whatever. I start carving. That's it. If somebody came and tapped me on the shoulder, I'll probably spin round and they'll lose a limb or something. But so sometimes I all of a sudden come conscious that, oh crikey, 3 or 4 songs have gone by, or it's got to the end of an audio book and I didn't hear half of it. And I find actually with that kind of thing, I kind of drift in and out of paying attention to them, because I just become so focused on what I'm doing to the exclusion of everything else. It is literally like going into another world, and that's all my mind is focused on. When I get into that kind of frame of mind, all of a sudden I get to a point where I look at it and think, crikey, I've almost finished. But where did the time go? And it's starting to go dark.
That's so nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good you found that.
Yeah, it's really lovely. I mean, that doesn't literally happen all the time, every time, but it certainly happens quite a lot.
It shows you're passionate as well about what you do, and you put it all into your work, don't you? So
I hope that the benefits to me of it are passed on in the end result that I'm then providing for other people.
Well, you can see that though, and the feedback from your clients and that is fantastic, isn't it? So what do you think the future looks like for this kind of work?
So the future for me and my business right now is looking great. I have become super busy, particularly in the last 3 or 4 months. I've been trying to find where I position myself and who are my clients, and that's that's the bit with, we were talking before about the learning how to run a business, understanding how to position myself, because as I understand it, you can have the best products in the world, but if you don't know how to market it and you don't understand branding, then you can't get it in front of people. And if they don't know it's there, then they're not going to have the opportunity to buy it. So that's been quite a slow process, but I've met some great professionals who have helped me with that. And what I think is that the exposure on social media and this channel help with that. And it's, gosh, I've got inquiries coming in thick and fast.
That's fantastic.
And actually, part of that, I want to give a little bit of a shout out as well to somebody that
Okay.
Alex Perkins.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah, Shire Web Design. He works on real. I'm on my 4th website. He's on my 4th website, and I literally have had more that went live April, May time this year, and I had more inquiries in the first month than I had in the entire year of the previously. So he is so passionate about what he does, and this is that thing that I said before again about surround yourself with positive people. He came to my workshop, got to know me, got to know what my style is, what I'm about, who I want to get exposure to, who I think are people who would really like to have my sculptures in their world. And I think he absolutely nailed it. He's really fantastic. So I've got all sorts of inquiries. I've got some really exciting projects coming up, and things are looking really great, really exciting.
Sounds really exciting, that.
Yeah, it's brilliant, yeah.
And how do you hope to continue making a mark with your art?
By doing this, by getting exposure, by getting my art out into public places so that more people can get to see it and experience it. And one of the interesting aspects actually of this type of art is that it's multi-sensory. So you have a picture on the wall that is visual, but so many people, when I go to shows and events, people come to my stand and they see it visually and they like the look of it. Then usually the next thing is they'll comment on the smell, which people are not expecting, but that wonderful smell of cedar, like we talked about before, and the oils that I use to preserve it, and it just smells wonderful. And then the next thing is they can't resist touching, so it's very tactile as well. And that multi-sensory aspect of sculpture is really, it makes it different, makes it a bit more special. There was a couple that used to come and visit me quite regularly, and the lady was blind.
Okay.
And she used to come and visit me, or they would come along, and she would spend 20 minutes or so just touching all the pieces, and her husband would describe what she was touching, and she would ask questions about it, and found that really beneficial. And it was lovely to.
That's so nice.
To see that, and it was really good, and that's actually what made me realise that this is more than just a visual art. Yeah, it's really great.
Do you do quite a lot of community-based projects then?
Not loads, but I've done one or two, and it's nice to see. I did a project in Madeley in Staffordshire a few months ago now, which was a horse chestnut that had come down in the storms, but it had been a central focal point for the village for hundreds of years, and people from all generations were coming and telling me their stories about how they climbed it when they were a kid, and they played conkers and even somebody came and said they had the first date under this tree, and stories of how people had fallen out of it and broken limbs and all sorts of stuff. So I turned part of it into a bench, and they cleared a bus stop to put the new bench in, and did some other carvings with it and what have you. So it was lovely to see how a community, loads of people were coming down to watch me doing the carving and tell me their little story about their connection with that tree. So really nice to do stuff like that.
Oh, that sounds lovely. So I think that draws us to an end, really, of this podcast. And thank you for opening up and sharing all that with us.
Yeah,
it's been lovely.
For having me. Yeah, it's been interesting to revisit some of these.
Definitely. And it's nice to hear your background stories and more about the process of everything. And it's really interesting. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
And that leads us on to the next episode that's coming as well, episode 4.
Yeah, episode 4. That'll be next month. Yeah. Don't even know what we're going to do for that yet.
No.
Decisions to be made, so that'll be good fun. Yeah, it'll be. I imagine it'll be a project, or is it back to the workshop?
Who knows? Yeah, who knows? So
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for watching.